This video is partially made possible by Gigabyte. Hey everyone, welcome back to another video review. Today we're gonna have a look at the CM Storm Enforcer case. The CM Storm Enforcer is a case with a quite unique design. They somehow managed to make it look a bit aggressive, bulky, but also sleek at the same time. This is a standard mid-size tower case. It's constructed from steel, ABS plastic and some mesh parts, and it weighs 8.9 kilograms. Having a look at the front panel, on the top we can see the power button, we can see two USB 3 ports, two USB 2 ports, a microphone and headphone jack. Here's a power LED and here's an HID activity LED, and here is the reset button. As you obviously saw, this case has a door which is held into place with magnets, and something cool which I immediately tested was whether there was enough space for a fan controller like this with knobs between the door and the base, and it seems that there is. So now you don't have to ask the question whether you can install a fan controller in this case with knobs. There is a total of 4 5¼ drive bays, and one of these drive bays has a drive bay cover which can also be used together with the 5¼ to 3.5" drive bay adapter for 3.5" devices. Underneath these bays there is mesh, and behind that there is a 200mm red LED intake fan. And in case you want, you can replace that fan by two 120mm fans. The front panel is removable, by the way. After taking off both side panels you press a few latches and the front panel comes off. Then you have access to the dust filter on the front intake fan. You can also easily take out the drive bay covers like this, and as you can see they also have a dust filter in them. On the left side panel they added a very nice looking window, and currently it seems to kind of act like some mirror or something. And luckily they didn't mess it up with a fan, so it's a nice looking plain window, like it should be. And yeah, the right side panel has been left plain. On the top panel there is a space to lodge stuff like an MP3 player or smartphone or whatever you might have, and behind that there is a space for an optional 200mm fan, but you can also install two 120mm fans, or if you're going for water cooling you can install a 240mm radiator on top here. Then on the back of the case we can find 3 grommeted holes for water cooling tubes to go through, the spot for your motherboard's I/O shield, the included 120mm exhaust fan, 7 expansion slots and another one right here with a thumb screw, and here you can install your standard ATX power supply. And then on the very bottom of the case you can find 4 rubber feet and a dust filter for the power supply's intake fan, and note that this dust filter is removable and washable. Then having a look at the inside of the case you can see that it is all black, and you can see the motherboard tray which supports standard and micro ATX motherboards. There's a big cutout for the CPU cooler's retention plates. There are cable management holes around the motherboard tray as well as punch outs to attach cables to. In the rear of the case you can see the included 120mm fan, and as you can see there, the fan has a 3-pin to Molex connector adapter, and the same goes for the front intake fan. And then a bit lower you can see the spot for the power supply, and as you can see there are 4 rubber feet for it to rest on. Then you have the 4 5¼ drive bays which are toolless, and installing a drive is very easy just by sliding it in and doing this, and then it's locked into place. You can also see here that the USB 3 ports have this USB 3 connector, so this one right here for motherboards, and here are the hard drive cages. You can install a total of 6 3.5" hard drives, 2 here and 4 here. And another 2 2.5" drives can be installed in this hard drive cage here. And also note that a 3.5" to 2.5" drive adapter is included, this one, and you can install 2 2.5" devices in this. So to install a hard drive, what you do is you take your hard drive, you take 2 of these rails which they include, then you place them on the side, so on either side you place 1, and that's very easy, and then you just slide in the drive in the case like that, and that's it. Also, these hard drive cages have another feature. This one here is removable after screwing out a bunch of screws. So you can install longer graphics cards, or you can position it in this way so that you have a better airflow going over your hard drives. Note that the cable management would be less satisfying then though. Also note that this little hard drive cage here is removable by screwing out 2 screws here. And if you want, you can install this hard drive cage on top of this one when the other one is removed. And then you can install 2 2.5" drives in this cage with it being on top here. And some other things CM-Storm includes are all you needed screws, a motherboard speaker, zip ties, and this metal part which you can install in the back of your case using a screw so you can lock your side panel. Alright, so I have finished the build as you can see, and it's the first time that we've used our new system. So there are less hard drives, so there's less cables for the hard drives, and that's also why I left the hard drive gauge there. Because, well, it wasn't needed, and this way the airflow is improved, so that's better. Is there anything I can say about this case negatively? Honestly, no, not really. I've used this before. As I said before, the HEF 912 Plus is exactly the same as in the inside, and I was so... well, I like that case so much, and now it's... yeah, they just... use this with a reason. They use this because this is basically perfect, and certainly for this size of case you get you get everything here. You get enough cable management of holes, you get enough options with the hard drive gauges, you get the tool design. The only negative thing, okay, this is one thing perhaps, is that they use too many screws. There's not enough thumb screws, which I would have liked. Like on the hard drive gauge there should have been thumb screws, as there are 1, 2, 3, 4 screws, so you have to screw those out. You have screws for the bottom hard drive gauge as well. You have screws for the expansion slots there, and you also have screws for the well, normal screws for the side panel on the other side. So there's only thumb screws for the side panel with the window, so the left side panel. But yeah, cable management is really good in this case. I hadn't any problems installing stuff yeah, everything works out perfectly. Let's have a quick look at the other side now. Alright, and this is the other side, and as you can see I've pretty much tucked away every cable behind the motherboard tray. There's about 1.5 centimeters of space to do that, so it seems that that was enough. You have to take note that you should actually put every cable next to each other, so not on top of each other, because otherwise you're building up like a ton of cables, and you know, that'll be too thick. Now I managed to get all of these tucked away nicely and positioned them next to each other, so these are like 24-pin cable, and right next to that is 2 PCI Express cables for the graphics card. And then here, for example, these cables only pass each other in the hole so that there's enough space, because otherwise there won't be enough space. So these go here, these are the front panel connections, and there's a 24-pin that then crosses them here. So yeah, cable management is perfect, to be honest. For a mid-sized tower case, you have this hole here for the CPU power, which is perfect, which is great. You have enough punch outs. You have punch outs here, but also a few here, which is awesome because most of the time I'm rounding cables here and then there's no punch out, so they're just hanging there somehow. And now they're not, so that's great. And yeah, that's basically it for this case. The cutout is, by the way, big enough, so as you can see there's enough space for the retention plate there, but I think I'll have to get to the conclusion now. So then, as conclusion, there are a bunch of things that I can say about this case, mainly positive actually. Let's start off with the looks of this case. Normally I wouldn't give a positive point for the window, but in this case I will, because I like this window. What they didn't mess up here was that they didn't drill any holes in it or whatever they would drill in it to have the extra option to install a fan there. They didn't do that, so the window is actually clean, it's perfect, so yeah, that's a positive factor here. Then another positive thing is that you can install a fan controller with knobs in the front panel, even with the door, so that's also good. You can install low-end graphics cards, you have a very good airflow, and there's good cable management in this case. And now a few negative things would be that there's too many screws in this case, which they should have replaced with thumb screws in my opinion. And that probably also makes us ask the question whether this is really worth its price. You get many features, you get all the many options, but there's that small detail of the screws and a few other small things which could make you think, is it really worth this price? But in my opinion, it really is, certainly for the design. The fact that you also have USB 3, by the way, and the big fan in the front, which gives really good airflow, and all the other options with the hard drive cages, which I also like, that makes this case worth its price. So eventually it's really up to you, as there are many competitors for this case as well, and you're gonna probably have to look at the looks of this case, and if you like this, you should probably buy it. But overall, I'm gonna give this case an awesome award. Thanks for watching this video review. Be sure to check out our website where you can find the full list of pros and cons. And also thanks to Cooler Monster for sponsoring us for this review. And I'll see you guys in the next video.